pre-show. I didn't know which mic is yours.
This one's mine. Hello. This one, the one that I'm talking into.
Yeah, that's one
Do
of
you
them.
read me?
Yep.
No wearing headphones. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the pre-show before the free show. I'm Greg. That's Ashley. Dateline. Oh, no.
Dateline!
Thank you. Naples, Italy.
Mm.
Let's go to Italy. Actually,
I'm
Talk a
going to
little bit
Naples this summer.
talk a little bit about pizza. You're what now?
I'm going to Naples this summer.
Naples, Florida?
Italy.
Naples, Italy?
Yeah.
On purpose?
Yeah.
For work?
No.
What's being streamed on Texan Live in Naples?
Yeah. Me drinking wine or eating pizza.
Wow. I remember when you were just, girl from Lano, stumbled in off the street, and now you're going to Italy.
Is it a crime to go on a vacation?
I'm just saying, you're all highfalutin and classy now.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Dateline, Naples, Italy. I want to tell you about a gentleman named Gino Sorbillo. Gino Sorbillo.
I was fixing to say, please say it correctly. Thank you.
Gino Sorbillo is the owner of he's the owner of a pizza place in Naples.
Okay.
On Via dei Tribunali, which is like apparently according to this article, the best known pizza street in the world capital of pizza. Okay? This is pizza heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Gino Sorbillo is under fire because he has added to his list the dreaded margarita con ananas,
Okay.
a.k.a. pizza with pineapple on it.
Oh, no.
And apparently, the headline here, Italy divided over new pineapple pizza. And apparently, he has created quite an uproar within the Italian pizza community. Because, I think we around here, we've come to understand that Hawaiian pizza is a thing.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary
Mm-hmm.
on Hawaiian pizza. But pineapple pizza is just a thing that, okay, some people like it. That's fine. From what I've read, this is borderline sacrilege in Italy, and especially in Naples. That it is pizza bianca, right? Sprinkled with no fewer than 3 types of cheeses, with the pineapple twice cooked for a caramelized feel. But apparently there is a big uproar. There have been protests outside of his restaurant about this, saying that we can't be having this. I'm trying to think. That would I think that would be the equivalent of like, I'm trying to think of like a Texas equivalent of that. Like if you were to serve people will say chili with beans, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that we're a little bit more. There's people who like beans in their chili.
That would be like serving.
I'm trying to think of like the barbecue equivalent.
I was fixing to say that would be like serving a vegan sort of meat at a barbecue place.
Yeah, like vegan barbecue, I think would be the equivalent here in Texas of something that would cause like a cultural outrage.
Yeah. And basically it's like if you're vegan, just don't go to a barbecue place.
Yeah, or like is there a Tex-Mex version? I'm trying to think. Like what would be sacrilegious?
Like baked beans being an option at a Tex-Mex place. Like I love baked beans at a barbecue place.
But if you're like, would you like charo beans or refried beans or
Bush's baked beans
or the brown sugar baked beans?
Yeah, black-eyed peas.
Black-eyed peas. Yeah, that'd be a good example. Anyway, if you're in Naples, make your voice heard about whether or not you are going to tolerate pineapple pizza in the but also don't take yourself too seriously. Like
I love Hawaiian pizza. I'm not scared to admit it.
I think I have the most. I think I have the hottest take, which is like, I'm kind of neutral on it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think the people who get all bent out of shape about it are like grow up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad.
No.
You know what I mean? I think I've had it. It's fine.
I think
it's
it
not
pairs well with the Canadian bacon. I think if you put it with other stuff, it would be not as good. But I think it pairs well with the Canadian bacon.
If we were in here, right, and you were like, hey, I got pizza for us for lunch, I'd be like, oh, awesome. And I opened it up, and there were pineapple pizza. I wouldn't be like, ugh, no.
God,
I'd
take
eat
it away. Yeah.
I'd eat it. It's not my first choice.
It would just be like, why did you get a Hawaiian pizza and no other options?
Oh, interesting.
For, like,
you got a
other
Hawaiian
people?
pizza? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I love Hawaiian pizza.
I just, I think it's one of those things where we probably, I think I'm probably in the minority by having a neutral opinion on it.
Yeah, you'll eat it, but you won't order it.
Yeah, exactly right. That's where I'm at. Anyway, hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a program online. My name is Greg Tupper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's the Duchess of the Dorks, Miss 305, Miss 915, Miss 956. She's Ashley Pick.
I had a acquaintance text me earlier asking a question, and
Wow, you're just flaming this person and be like, we're not friends.
Oh, no, I just didn't have their phone number. I've only corresponded with them over email before.
Okay, got it, yes.
Which they definitely got my number, I would assume, from my email signature. But they had a 915 number, and I was like, no, I didn't realize you were from El Paso. And I was like, yeah, we're in that sickos committee of area code pops up almost anywhere across the state, and it's like, oh, I know where that's from.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell you, specifically, because there's some area codes that have, a big, wide swath.
Yeah, 325 is a huge one out
325, you could be, y'all's neck of the woods in Llano, or you could be in
Angelo, or
San Angelo. Yeah, it's that's a huge group, swath of Texas. But, I know that if you have a 325 number, you're not calling me from, Texarkana.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that. Anyway, today is Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday, January 4th, 2020.
Tomorrow's Friday.
2024. It is 329 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, nice. Go
Victor
Spurs, go.
Wembanyama is 20 years old today.
Good
a good basketball player.
Yes.
Basketball player. So good, in fact. Let's check the NBA standings.
Okay, this seems like
Mavericks are sitting at 20 and 15 on the year. That's fine. I know Kyrie Irving's been hurt. I'm looking for the they're in the Western Conference, right? Okay, I gotta scroll down. Huh.
If y'all were wondering, I turned his mic off. This is good. Are you ready to move on now? You're on.
Okay, excellent. It is episode 1713 with the 5-28 San Antonio Spurs. On today's show, folks,
leave them alone.
We're going to take a look at the college football world. Of course, listen to Republic Football. They had an episode yesterday. But we are going to do our own recap extravaganza. Specifically, I want to take the 13 FBS teams and talk about where they've finished relative to our preseason expectations. We'll kind of talk about each and every one of them for a little bit here on the Texas Football Today College Football Recap Extravaganza, at least the FBS Recap Extravaganza. So we'll have that coming up here in just a moment. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do, as I pull it up because it went away and now it's back.
It did go away.
Let's go with Ed McElroy, jersey number 69,
Nice.
Jacob McNeil. Yes, you finally got it. And Big Jiggly Water Balloons. Welcome in, fellas.
Yes. Welcome in, friends. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us here on Thursday, January 4th. And an episode of Texas football today in which we're going to talk a little bit of college football. The college football season, as we mentioned, ended on Monday with Texas's loss in the college football playoff. There is still the FCS National Championship game, which is on Sunday. Do you know it's on Sunday? Like they're legitimately competing with the NFL.
Why would they? Wait, the national championship?
The FCS National Championship game.
Oh, FCS.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the
wild.
the FBS National Championship game is on Monday.
Yeah, that's where isn't it still up here?
It is still in Frisco. Yes. Do you know who's playing?
I do not.
South Dakota State and
They've
Montana.
Okay, Montana is surprising. Oh, shout out Danny Davis.
Fighting Danny Davises.
Nice.
That's exactly right. Anyway,
I did know that, actually.
But there's not a Texas team in that. There's not a Texas team in left the college football
There
team.
wasn't even a Texas team in the FCS playoffs, period.
I know.
That's wild.
Rough. But the college football season has come to a close here in the state of Texas, and as a result, it's a good time to take a look back on the 13 FBS teams across the state of Texas and do a little bit of recap. Because, look, I think that like we're talking about with high school teams, in the same way with college teams, you have to grade these things on a curve, okay? I don't think there was anybody who entered this year thinking, all right, national champions, Texas State Bobcats.
Yeah, no,
right?
No way.
I don't think anybody thought that coming into the year. I don't think there was anybody who thought, okay, they're going to be, these teams are going to be competing, contending for a national championship. So instead, what we wanted to do is I wanted to grade these teams on a scale relative to what we perceive to be their preseason expectations, what we thought their expectations were coming into the year. They're in kind of a rough ranking, as you'll see, but they are essentially, I wanted to say, did they exceed expectations? Did they fall short of expectations? Did they more or less meet expectations? So let's talk about it. Here is my group. Here's my graphic that I came up with. If you're the farthest left, that means you greatly exceeded expectations. If you're the farthest right, it means you greatly fell short of expectations. And actually, I'm going to throw it up on my screen as well, so that we can actually, it doesn't have to be on this thing the entire time. So that's what I came up with. Now, your mileage may vary. This is my opinion on this situation. And I guess we should probably start on the right side and end on a high note, right? So we're going to talk first of all about the team that I think fell the shortest of expectations, and that would be the Baylor Bears, who are all the way on the right, falling short of expectations. It's interesting because I think that we went into this year thinking that this was going to be a very big, important year for Dave Aranda. Mm-hmm. Coming off of what I perceived to be a pretty disappointing 2022 season, mm-hmm. right, where they made it to a bowl game but then got trounced by Air Force in the bowl game and finished, I believe, 6-7. But Baylor did finish 6-7 in 2022, and I think there was thought of, okay, get transferred in Sawyer Robertson, have some pieces to replace, but a big year coming for the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, especially because the year before last, it felt like they had a good team. They just couldn't find a quarterback that could either, one, stay healthy or two, accomplish anything in the offense. Right. So it was like, find a quarterback in the transfer portal, and you should be pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Instead, Baylor finishes 3-9, tumbles in the rankings, and specifically, the offense was what's the word I'm looking for?
One of those was a win over an FCS school.
Yes,
that you've probably never even heard of.
One of their wins was
Long Island something.
Long Island was LIU, and then another one of those wins was, remember, that crazy comeback against UCF. Mm-hmm. this was a disastrous season for Baylor, and what I think is most problematic, the offense was bad, 101st in scoring offense, right? It was bad. We can admit that. What is most concerning moving forward about Baylor is that their defense was capital B bad, 116th in total defense.
Yeah.
Okay? 116th. They were, let me look at this, the second worst defense among FBS teams in the state of Texas.
There's
Dave
no
Aranda,
excuse for that. He was the defensive coordinator when LSU went to the championship.
He's known as a defensive guru. So I think it's fair to say that probably the most disappointing team in Texas was the Baylor Bears.
Yes, I agree.
Second on that list, I would say, was UTEP. Okay? Now, look, obviously, it's easy to say this after the fact because they made a coaching change with Dana Dimmel out. But for UTEP, I think there was this – they were not held to the same standards of a Texas. Okay? This is an example of a team that nobody thought was going to be out there, especially in a new look. But I do think that what's important to remember is that I think there was a thought of, okay, for UTEP, they have an opportunity to go out there and maybe establish themselves as an upper-ish tier team in the new look Conference USA, right? Let's remember that was, I think, there was some hope that this would be the year that they could kind of in a kind of a transitional year of the Conference USA, that they could pounce.
Which is funny because that's the exact same thing we said about Baylor. Oh, new look Big 12. 12. Go ahead and establish yourself.
Even with Texas and OU in it, still in there. I think you're right.
It was like you have competition like Houston that was not at that level. Like, go up there and try to do something, and it didn't work.
Everything was bad for UTEP, but especially bad was the offense. The offense averaged, Pickle, the offense was the worst in Texas. It averaged less than 20 points a game.
Yeah,
you're just not going to win.
No.
You're just not going to win.
No, because the only way that you win with averaging 20 points is when you have the most unbelievable defense.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, and they didn't have either of those.
They couldn't sell on a quarterback. They bounced between Cade McConnell and Gavin Hardison. They couldn't run the ball, which is concerning. And Dana Dimmel is gone after that disappointing year. They go 3-9, and I would say even by the relatively measured expectations for UTEP, this was a disappointing year.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of teams that made a coaching change, let's talk about the Houston Cougars, who are next on this list that I have straddling fell short and greatly fell short.
Yeah, that seems right.
Now, because for one thing, I would say that it's important to remember that they did change leagues too, and they made a step up moving to the Big 12. Mm-hmm. But, and we talked about this when Dana Holgorsen got fired, Dana Holgorsen was brought in kind of to shepherd them through the transition of going to the Big 12. Get them to the Big 12 and shepherd them through it. The problem is when they showed up in the Big 12, it didn't go well, kind of at all. And specifically, the defense was not up to snuff, and the offense was not good either. They go 4-8. More importantly, and I think more damning, is they go 2-7 in conference play.
Yeah.
And the other thing, plain and simple, they lost to Rice.
Yep. And
can't do that.
There's the thing where, for me, it's the fell short of expectations because they go out there and they lose to Rice. That you can't do that. But then they turn around and they almost beat Texas.
Yes.
And it's like that was the hardest part about watching that team all year, was saying, okay, you'll go out there and you play to your competition. So you lose games that you should absolutely destroy people in, and yet you'll go out there and almost beat the team that just played in the college football playoff. It literally was decided with 30 seconds left on a fourth down play.
Right. I would say that, for Dana Holgorsen, obviously he's out of a job. But for Houston, this was a disappointing debut in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. And I think no two ways around it. So now we'll get to the two that I think were the hardest to categorize.
Yeah.
Start with TCU. I put them in the fell short of expectations category. Now, it's important to remember, I think, that coming into the year, with all of the guys who are going off to the NFL, I think there was this notion of, okay, TCU's not going to be in the playoff again.
No.
I don't think anybody thought they were going to be in the playoff again.
No.
But to go from national finalist to 5-7.
Yeah, I would have said like expectation was probably 8-4.
Yeah, I think so.
That seems right.
Yeah, I think 8-4. Take a step back, a measured step back, but still establishing yourself as, okay, you're in the upper crust of the new Big 12.
And just wait until they have another year of recruiting under their belt after just being in the national championship. Maybe things will kind of turn around again.
And for me, the bottom fell out of the defense.
Yep.
That was a big part of it. And then I go back, I hate to keep harping on this. They had a couple of absolutely baffling losses. Absolutely baffling losses, at least after the fact.
Yep.
Right? When they lost to Colorado in the opener, at home, I think all of us were like, man, maybe Deion Sanders has figured things out of Colorado. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Oh,
they just weren't very good.
Yeah, that's a loss that aged very bad.
It aged like milk. The other one that aged like milk, in my opinion, was they lost to Iowa State.
Yep.
That game is not a game you can lose. They went back-to-back losses to West Virginia and Iowa State. They were so inconsistent.
I don't think the West Virginia one aged well either.
West Virginia was better than they have been, but
you should never welcome in West Virginia to your home turf and lose.
To lose
if you were in West Virginia, that would be a different story. You should never lose at home to West Virginia.
What's so interesting about them is that I think they were the most they probably were the most inconsistent team in Texas, because at times they looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. They took Texas to the wire, right? They beat SMU soundly, right? They had some wins that were pretty good. But they just could not find consistency, especially defensively.
Yeah, which is why I think them and Houston were right on the verge.
Right. So then, let's talk about Sam Houston. So Sam Houston is the newest FBS member, joining Conference USA this year, and it's. Your mileage may vary on this one. This is the one that I expect to hear people complain about, maybe. Because for Sam Houston, they go 3-9. Now, it's important to remember that there was a moment there with Sam Houston where they were 0-8, and we were thinking, boy, y'all better beat Kennesaw State, or we might be staring at a winless ball club. Mm-hmm. Right? We might be staring 0-12 in the face. Instead, they rattle off the final three. Yeah, we'll put that back up.
Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry, real fast. We have some people asking where Texas State is. You can't see it in the camera view, but I wanted everybody to know Texas State is on there.
Don't worry.
Exactly where you want them to be.
We'll
get there.
They'll be the last team we talk about.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to flash that up real fast so people saw it.
But for Sam Houston, this was a team that they win 3 of their final 4 and move out of the red into the orange, in my opinion. Now, again, it depends on where your expectations were for this team. Mm-hmm. They're making the leap to FBS. This was, and I mean this in a nice way, very clearly not an FBS roster as far as depth is concerned.
No.
I think their ones could hang in Conference USA, but you saw this over and over and over. They ran out of gas because they ran out of depth.
Mm-hmm. They lost so many close games.
They lost a ton of close games. I would say they still fell short of expectations, but I would say that overall, at 3-9, they're probably closer to met expectations than they were greatly exceeded, or greatly fell short of expectations, in my opinion. We'll do one more before we take a break here, and that is, let's talk about the Texas Tech Red Raiders, which was another team that I had trouble placing.
Yeah.
I have them straddling met expectations and fell short of expectations. Okay? Because for Texas Tech, I think this was a bit of a hangover from 2022. Mm-hmm. Joey McGuire comes in, just breathes some new life into this program. They have I think they really exceeded expectations in 2022, and there was a lot of hype coming into 2023. Mm-hmm. Pretty clearly, it became apparent that this was not going to be 2023 again. or 2022 account. And I'm not sure if I can really identify exactly what happened. Part of it is that they didn't convert as many fourth downs as they did last year. Like they won on the margins a lot in 2022. And 2023, they just didn't win on the margins very much. They lost, after all their one-score wins in 2022, they had a one-score loss to Wyoming, a one-score loss to Oregon, let's remember, a one-score loss to West Virginia. And, so they have 3 one-score losses. Now, I still think the arrow's pointing up, and I don't want to bury them, what they did, because they did rally and they made a bowl and they won a bowl, and that matters. They finished 7-6, and for considering the momentum of the program, I think that is it was an important flurry where they won 3 of their final 4 games to make a bowl, and then they won a bowl.
Yeah,
that's important. But I think considering where this thing started, and there was talk of Texas Tech maybe rising into that upper echelon of the Big 12. That didn't happen in 2023, and I think that puts them kind of in that you did okay, but probably not what people were hoping.
That's the hard part about walking in and setting the expectation being so high, because then when you don't mirror that,
if they had been worse in 2022, this would be a different conversation. But they changed the expectation in 2022. And as a result, I think they fell a little bit short of expectations in 2023. We'll start talking about more positive things here in a moment. But first, let's hear from a word from these goods and services.
I feel like bustin' loose. Bustin' loose. Come on. Get on up. Oh, yeah. Get on up. When you wanna sing, bust it loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bust it loose, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Wing is the largest residential drone delivery provider in the world, delivering to your home in less than 30 minutes. Order using an app just like other popular delivery services, and Wing's automated drone takes care of the rest. It's fast, safe, and sustainable, and it's now delivering to parts of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. You can learn more at wing.com/TexasFootball. Again, that's wing.com/TexasFootball.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texans love doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Back here on Texas Football Today, it's our college football recap spectacular. I'm Greg, that's Ashley. We're talking about teams and where they finished relative to expectations, and we've moved on to the Texas A&M Aggies. And I have them just failing expectations.
Yeah.
Basically. And I have a really hot take. Maybe this is the hottest take of all.
Okay.
I don't think A&M was that bad in 2023. Now, they finished 7-6, right? They finished 7-6, and you are what your record says you are. The loss to Miami wasn't great. But they had a one-score loss to Alabama. They had a one-score loss at Tennessee. They had a one-score loss at Ole Miss. And then, by the way, they were in the game at LSU for a while. They lost by 12, but they were in that game for a hot minute. Without a head coach, by the way, because they'd already fired Jimbo Fisher. I'm not here to tell you Jimbo Fisher shouldn't have been fired. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this team, especially considering the injury to quarterback, and that they had to go to Max Johnson pretty quickly in this season, and then eventually in the bowl game, they ended up being on like their fourth-string quarterback. I think A&M at 7-6, depending, I know A&M fans have high expectations for their program every year, but I think A&M to finish the regular season 7-5 is a little bit worse than I thought they would. I think they'd go about 8-4. Was how I had them pegged. 10-2 was the high end. 6-6 was the low end. So I think they fell short of their expectations. And Jimbo Fisher probably should have been fired because that's not the expectation at A&M. Mm-hmm. But considering the program and what they had coming into 2023, this wasn't a terrible team. Like this wasn't a team that went and got embarrassed week in and week out. I understand that it's disappointing and it's frustrating for A&M fans because they expect more, and especially the expectation it was in many ways tied to what they were paying their head coach. Mm-hmm. But overall, this is a middle-of-the-road team in the SEC that lost a couple of close games and were probably 3 or 4 plays away from being 9-3.
Yeah, I think the expectations were a little bit higher, maybe considering who he brought into some coordinator spots.
I agree.
And it's like, okay, your defense has been really good for quite a while. Now the defense is not as good. The offense has been the part that's been the up and down and up and down and up and down. It's like, okay, you bring in a new offensive coordinator, someone that you think is supposed to work really well, and it didn't happen.
What if I told you they were top 25 in scoring offense?
Yeah. Which I guess on a backup quarterback is crazy.
Score more points than Missouri, who won the Cotton Bowl.
You can't let Miami walk into Kyle Field and do that, though.
No, it was at Miami. No, it was at Miami.
It was at, oh,
they
was
lost,
it?
Yeah. And by the way,
Which one did they drop at home then? Was it Mississippi State at home?
Alabama.
Man, I thought they
lost to Alabama at home. Yep, that was their only home loss, was Alabama.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I know we got all caught up in the fog of war because of, oh my gosh, is Jimbo Fisher going to get fired?
Yeah.
But like, this team wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I know that's hardly any consolation for Aggie fans, but in my opinion, this team wasn't that bad. Did they fall short of expectations? Yes, but not as much as you think. So now we'll go to Denton, to the North Texas Mean Green.
Yeah.
And I have them just barely falling short of expectations. First-year coach in Eric Morris, and they came in, and I guess a lot of the question was, what was your expectation for North Texas going to be? So North Texas finishes the year, was it 5-7?
Yeah.
Finishes the year 5-7. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 5-7, 3-5 in conference though.
Why'd that go off? Put that back on. I'm putting that back on. Okay. Went 5-7. Went 3-5 in conference. It's important to remember, again, they were making a leap to a tougher conference with a new coach and trying to figure things out. And by the way, if you brought in Eric Morris to fix the offense, great news. 20th in scoring offense. Offense, pretty darn good. Now, there is another side of the ball, and they appeared to more or less forget about that at times.
That was the worst defense in the nation for basically the entire season. If they might have ended the worst defense in the nation.
It was... The defense was very bad. The worst defense in Texas. It was the third worst defense in the nation as far as they give 37 points a game. You can't do that.
No.
Now, again, I think if you had told me before the year, hey, North Texas is going to go 5-7, I'd say it's about right.
The loss to FIU was
I think it's the way that
jarring.
It went. Right. I think
you expect to lose to Cal. They put up a good game against them.
I think here's the funny thing. I think North Texas 5-7. Like, I think you can make an argument that A&M was better than a 7-5 team. Okay? I think 5-7 is exactly what North Texas was, and that's about what I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
So, for North Texas, for Eric Morris, I think you say, all right, it's not a year zero, but it's a retrenching year. And now, the expectation has to increase moving forward. Then we have the team that's right in the middle, the UTSA Roadrunners. And what is interesting is that I think there was a time early in the year where we were not thinking this was going to be the case. Remember, this is a team that started the year 1-3. Now they ran a tough schedule, right?
Yep.
Well, from the outset, it looked like a tough schedule. But what's so funny, Pickle, their non-conference. Okay, let's put out at Tennessee. We knew that was probably going to be a loss. It was. Their first 3 games of the year, at Houston, home to Texas State, and home to Army. They go 1-2 in those, and not in the way that you think.
Nope.
They beat Texas State. Let's remember that, which now looks like a pretty decent win. But they lose to Houston, which now doesn't look like a very good loss. And they lose to Army, which, by the way, does not look like a very good loss.
No, that was a
The bad
shocking
loss.
loss.
Now, remember, Frank Harris was banged up for a lot of the season. But after that 1-3 start, they go 8-1. And they make it to the conference championship game, and they lose in the conference championship game, right? You know, that's the way that, they lose to Tulane. No, I'm sorry. They didn't make the conference championship game.
No, they didn't make it.
They lost to Tulane in the regular season finale to just fall short of the conference championship game. To me, considering all the changes that they had there at UTSA, moving up a conference, plain and simple, moving from Conference USA to the American, I think to come within a whisker of the American Athletic Conference Championship is about what we expected. We expected them to establish themselves as one of the teams to beat in the AAC. They did. And it wasn't always pretty, but this is a team that finished 9-4. I think if you had told us before the year, hey, UTSA moving from the American Athletic Conference, moving to the American Athletic Conference, is going to finish with 9 wins, you'd say, sounds about right. Sounds like they had a nice year. That's what I think with UTSA. I think that is exactly what we thought. It may have been a roundabout way to get there, but I think if you're a UTSA fan, this is right at about the expectation level. It's a decent year. So now let's talk about the Rice Owls. And Rice, I had some guy who got real mad at me because I said that I thought Rice had a pretty decent 2023. Some guy was like, man, you just don't get it. They finished with another losing season. Mike Bloomgren has now been the coach there at Rice for 6 seasons. You throw out 2020, if you're in 2020 for a variety of reasons. Do you remember in 2020 we got like into October and they had not played a game yet?
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we were coming on here. I think we were still in the power poll.
They had 4 games that they hadn't played.
We still had the power poll. And I think that like you and I were having conversations about like there's a chance Rice just doesn't play this year. Throughout 2020. Every year, they have won more games than the year before. He took over a team that was 1-11. They go 6-7 this year. They win their final game against Florida Atlantic to get bowl eligible and make it to the First Responder Bowl. Now, they lose to Texas State in the First Responder Bowl to finish 6-7. But I think if you're Rice, a win over Houston and making a bowl at 6-6, I just don't understand what the
what has
and
led
by the way,
you-
moving up to the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah,
what was the expectation supposed to be?
And I don't understand in recent history what would have happened that would have made that expectation any higher.
I just don't. I mean, people go back to the David Bailiff years, the salad days, where basically they went 10-4 in 2013.
Yep.
Okay, 10-4 in 2013. They have won. They have won 6 Here's the number of times they have won 6 or more games since the turn of the century. Okay? Ready? 2001, they went 8-4. 2006, they went 7-6. 2008, they went 10-3. 12 and 13, they won 7 and 10 games respectively.
Mm-hmm.
They won 8 games in 2014. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, they haven't done it.
This
since
is like, you
2016.
could make an argument. This is like the 6th best season in Rice. At Rice since the turn of the century.
Yeah.
So I think when I take a look at this, that's right in like the fat part of the bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
To make a bowl, moving up, and to me, what nudges them maybe closer to exceeded expectations that they beat Houston.
Yeah. North Texas moved up and they didn't make a bowl game.
Absolutely. I think for Rice, this was a decent, solid year, right in the middle of the fat part of the bell curve. So then we get to the final 3 teams. And by the way, yeah, there you go.
I can also put that.
You
up.
throw it back up there. Final 3 teams. Let's talk about the Texas Longhorns. And I toyed with this one a bit because it's important to go back in time and remember that heading into the year, the talk about Texas was they should win the conference and they better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That the Big 12 looked like it was going to be down. They looked like the best team in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. They should win the conference.
Mm-hmm.
They went 11-1 in the regular season. They lost to Oklahoma in a wild game, right?
Which is literally that's one of the
Red River.
most coin flip games every single year.
It's Red River. They lose to Oklahoma. They beat Alabama at Alabama. And they make the college football playoff. And it didn't play out this way. This is not the game state of it. But they lose by 1 score in the Sugar Bowl to a national finalist in Washington. The expectations were high. I don't think they greatly exceeded those expectations. If they'd won that game on Monday, maybe we might be having a different conversation. We probably wouldn't be doing the segment, to be real honest. But I think that you can safely say that they exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Maybe it's by virtue of going to Alabama and getting that win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for Texas, this was especially now heading into the SEC, you can look at what they did in 2023 and say, okay, they're ready for prime time.
If they would have, it might have been even more moved into the green if they would have beat OU in the fashion that they did the year before that when they 49-0 them.
Yes.
That would have been a little bit different.
Absolutely. But I think if you're Texas, I know it hurts. Like you're not happy about how the season ended. This is still an excellent year.
Oh, yeah.
And to make the college football playoff I think that was not necessarily the expectation heading into the year. I think the thought was win the Big 12, lose to Alabama, lose one other game, win the Big 12, go to a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yep.
To make the playoff, I think, makes this an exceeded expectation.
And to go to Tuscaloosa and win.
Yes. So then we got the final 2. Let's talk about the SMU Mustangs. SMU, in a new look American Athletic Conference, I think was facing a really important year. And was facing a year where they had to prove that, look, in this new look AAC, it's going to run through us. All you newcomers, you're going to have to go through SMU to do it. And for Rhett Lashley and company, I think that was important for them to establish that. And plain and simple, to make it to the conference championship, or to win the conference championship, to be the American Athletic Conference champions, to go to Tulane and beat them. I know that losing to Boston College in the Fenway Bowl is not necessarily the best way to end it. But to go 11-3 and to show that you are in fact the team to beat, you're going to enter next year as the reigning conference champions. To be top 12 in both scoring offense and scoring defense is a dream. Mm-hmm. It's a dream. And yes, the only thing that knocks them down and to me knocks them behind Texas State, we'll get to them in a moment, is the loss to TCU.
Yep.
That would have been perfection. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the bowl loss, but again, I think you throw that out. This was an outrageously successful year for SMU. And the kind of year that you can build your program off of. You can vault your program off of. I think for SMU, this was a spectacular year. But it wasn't the most spectacular year. Folks, let's talk about the Texas State Bobcats.
G.J. Kinney.
It is important, again, to remember where we started with this.
Mm-hmm.
New coach, roster overhaul, had so many questions about this Texas State team coming into the year.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions. And by the way, the Sun Belt was not exactly looking like it was going to be one of the, necessarily a pushover, right? Looked like it was going to be a tough year in the Sun Belt. To go and make the first bowl in program history, to win a bowl in your first year as a head coach there, or FBS head coach, G.J. Kinney, is nothing short of, like, plain and simple, shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and think about where we thought about this Texas State team. We were like, man, 4 wins would be great.
Yep.
4 wins would be a really nice year. They won 7. They got into a bowl by winning 6 games. They didn't APR their way in. They won it by winning 6 games. And by the way, here's a fun fact. 12th in the nation in scoring offense. The second best scoring offense in Texas, only behind SMU.
Yep.
And I would also submit to you that I don't think, now their defense left something to be desired, right?
Right.
But
G.J. Kinney's an offensive guy.
As far as taking a step and proving that things are going to be different, I think Texas State blew away all expectations in 2023. I don't think that even the most ardent Texas State homer could have in July said, yeah, we're going 7-6. I think that this was a spectacular season. It wasn't perfect, and there's room to grow, but as far as the trajectory is concerned, this was a monumental year for Texas State. And I have no notes, basically. Improve the defense a little bit. I have no notes besides that.
Yeah.
And I think that what G.J. Kinney and company is doing, I think, like, honestly, I was a little disappointed he didn't get Coach of the Year run.
Yeah.
But that's because that award isn't given. They're going to give it to, like, Kalen DeBoer, right? I think what G.J. Kinney and the staff did down there was spectacular and exceeded the expectations of pretty much everybody. So there you go. That's our look at the 13 FBS teams across the state of Texas and how they fared in 2023. What do you think? Design your own graphic and send it to Pickle, Ashley_Pickle12 on Twitter.
No.
Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Coming up at 2 o'clock today, WTF, Mallory Hartley.
Oh, wow, you're back!
We are back. We're going to talk a little bit of state championships because we haven't been able to do that, and then talk about some of the bowl games that we missed. So just kind of another little recap, but from Mallory and I's perspective.
Get some WTF in your life.
Yeah.
Pickle and Mallory coming up here at 2 o'clock. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.